welcome our other commissioners and our guests here this afternoon. The Historic Preservation Commission is a nine-member board appointed by the City Council and serves on a voluntary basis without compensation. The purposes of the commission are to promote the educational, cultural, economic, and general welfare of the city through the preservation and protection of buildings, sites, structures, areas, and districts of historic significance and interest through the preservation and enhancement of local historic, architectural, archaeological, and aesthetic heritage found in the city. Also through the maintenance of the distinctive character of the city's historic districts and through the promotion and enhancement of the city's historic and aesthetic attraction to tourists and visitors. I'd just like to encourage each and every person who approaches the podium to speak directly into the microphone, and I'd like to encourage our other commissioners also to speak directly into the microphone in front of them. This afternoon, we do not have a quorum, so we will carry our approval of the minutes of the last meeting to the next meeting, but at the same time, I'd like to ask our new members to introduce themselves and first of all, just tell us something about your background and tell us what intrigues you about historic preservation.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Tap, see. Yes, okay.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Melissa Bailey. I am an assistant professor at Troy University at the Troy campus. I have a PhD in public administration and public policy from Auburn University, War Eagle. Actually, for me, history was my first love. I kind of stumbled upon public administration, public policy. I majored in history and minored in political science from the University of West Alabama. So I'm just really excited about the opportunity to serve on this commission, to get back to kind of where my base was. So I'm grateful for the City Council for giving me this opportunity, of course, to serve on this commission, and I look forward to working with each of you.
Thank you very much, and I just want to announce also, from this moment on, we'll refer to her as Dr. Bailey, and we refer to myself as Chairman Bailey, as a way of making a distinction between who is speaking so that everybody would know. When we say Dr. Bailey from now on, we are talking about the esteemed Dr. Melissa Bailey. When we say Chairman Bailey, we're talking about Richard Bailey. Ma'am, before you came, Dr. Bailey referred to the chairperson.
Gotcha.
And now we'd like to ask our other commissioners to introduce themselves, and we'll start from my left and the audience right.
James Long.
I'm Carol King.
Dallas Hanbury.
Okay, and just would like to say good afternoon to everybody and to welcome everybody here. If you notice on our agenda for this afternoon, we have several items, but because we do not have a quorum this afternoon, we will not be able to transact any kind of official business. And with that being said, Christy, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
Well, y'all can transact any new items of business. You just, because you have a new member, there are only 4 of you who were in attendance at last month's meeting as far as approving the minutes. So if there's anything else y'all want to do, you can do it. But no, when you're ready, we'll just go through the sign information. We do have a couple of property owners here to receive their sign this evening. Since you all approved this slate last month, it doesn't matter if there was a quorum or not for this.
Okay. Christy, you want to show the signs, or has everybody seen the signs?
Yeah, and I've got them up on the table. So, whenever you're ready.
Yes, we're ready.
You're ready? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we'll start with 695 Cloverdale Road. This was a replacement sign. Actually, several of these were replacement signs. The name on the house, can we scroll to the picture, Mike? Um, 695 Cloverdale Road. It's a circa 1915 kind of prairie-style house with very classical details. Hipped roof, architectural tab, shingles. There's the columns are squared, and there's dental molding in that entry porch. Casement windows on the first floor. There's some casements and sash windows on the upper floors. Their previous sign did say the person's house. It's funny. I ended up dyslexically typing the address, and the letter telling them about this meeting was returned because I told them I gave them yet another street number. What I have at the beginning of each of these is what the previous street number was. In the early 1950s, most properties were renumbered. And so if you're doing research on a property and you're looking for your current address, you're not going to find anything related to your property prior to 1951 or so. So I've put that on there, but this house ended up having like 3 different addresses, and sometimes 2 of the addresses were listed at once. So I gave them one more. I think I addressed it to 965 Cleverdale Road. But I could not find it in the 1920 or 28 city directory, but beginning in 1935 through 1960, it was occupied by Mrs. Mary Persons. So their request was to have the person's house on this sign. Any comments?
Can you stop at this one for a moment?
Sure.
You said it's a replacement sign.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
They had one of the old signs that was faded, but we had determined with the new criteria that if you had an old sign, that it still needed to be evaluated to make sure that you were still worthy of the new sign, since we decided we weren't giving out gold stars anymore, that the property needed to meet certain criteria in order to receive a sign. So
that addresses one of my questions, and that means that essentially we're grandfathering in.
no,
We're
we're
not
not
grandfathering?
grandfathering in. So if you got a historic, so we had historic building signs for properties that had been relatively unaltered, and historic district signs for houses that were in districts but had been altered to an extent that the HPC did not want to give them a historic building sign. If you had one of those historic district signs and you wanted a new sign, and you have plastic shutters and replacement windows and vinyl siding, you're probably not going to get it the second time around. We decided that we had been doing this long enough that we were going to reward good behavior and not give everyone a gold star just because they live in a historic district.
Okay. I have another question. I'm looking at that.
Speak directly to the microphone.
I have another question. Looking at that description right under the picture, it says when you were speaking about the doors, solid wood entry doors, not typical of the style, more likely wood doors than side lights or double doors with glass.
Yes, that's my best guess, that those
And
doors are not original.
I'm reading, unless I'm misreading the document, the new guidelines that we published says on doors, the entranceway shall be consistent with the architectural style of the building, and all other exterior doors shall be consistent with the style of the building.
Yes, and that was the purpose of the committee needing to convene and discuss the details and the criteria. And the committee recommendation was to award this sign.
Well, I can see it and I may vote with them on it, but I would certainly want an explanation of why that doesn't apply here.
I believe you and Brian and Carol were the committee this time around.
No, I didn't, maybe, I didn't see that. Remember, when we did it by phone or by email, and that
Right.
was probably the wrong way to do it, as we said last time we were here.
Right.
So, but anyway, whether we did it or not, that's a section that we're gonna have to deal with regard to this application.
So what are you proposing?
Well, I don't like saying no, but I would like an explanation from the property owner why either the property owner feels that it is compliant or a reason why we should approve it anyway.
But you all have already approved it.
Huh?
You already approved it last month on the recommendation of the committee.
But that's a committee. That's not the board.
No, the board adopted the slate put forth by the committee at last month's meeting.
So these are the same ones that we did in the last month?
Yes.
Then what are we looking at now?
This is supposed to be a presentation with property owners present so we can do a presentation on the properties and award the signs. It just so happens we only have one property owner present. It's just a presentation. There's no action to be taken other than giving someone a sign to put on their house.
Well, I take responsibility for that, but we're just going to have to look closer. That's all.
Okay. Dr. Bailey, do you want me to continue with the next?
Yes.
Or does anyone have any other comments?
Yes, go right ahead.
3211 Cleverdale Road was previously 709 Cloverdale Road. This is just a Cloverdale Idlewild, circa 1927. Again, we have a front door replacement. It's kind of a frosty glass, doesn't show it very well. This, at some point, there's a twin of this house, either next door or 2 doors down, where the side porch is still open. You can see where there's that brick pier at the end. But I believe that this is very likely a historic porch enclosure. The materials match very well. There's no record of it in my files, so it hasn't happened in the last, certainly hasn't happened in the last 30 years. The ARB did approve the replacement of windows on the front of this house. The owner was told that Virginia Durr might have lived in this house late in her life. I looked at some city directories from the 1990s, and it looks like she lived at 3225 Cloverdale Road, so she was not at this property. but it did have a long-term owner occupant in the Dickersons. But the property owner wanted Cleverdale Idlewild on the sign. Um, 351 Felder was 423 Felder. This was also a replacement sign, and the owner requested that it be called the Julia Gay House, which I believe is what is on her current sign. I asked what the relationship was. She said she thought she built the house. My research indicates that she lived in the house in the 1960s, which is not really a strong historic association. So the recommendation was to award a Garden District circa 1924 sign. This is kind of a flat profile Tudor-esque house with 9/1 and 6/1 windows and an arched porch entry. Also had a number of different owners, but a good stretch where it was owned by the Estises. I can't say that. So it's been relatively unaltered, probably other than the addition of those shutters on the front that would not have been original to the house or included as part of the house. Okay, 1701 Madison Avenue was previously 1401 Madison. Based on my research, the owners decided they would like the Hattemer House to be on this sign. It is a brick veneer house with a front L and a side porte cochere. Got vertical 4/1 windows, traditional driveway, and for every city directory I could find it listed in, it was owned by the Hattemers. So that seemed like a very fitting name for this property. And the Johnsons are here this evening, so they can get their sign.
Yay.
Excuse me, Christy, can we ask them to come to the microphone? And,
Sure.
just a few minutes. Would you like to approach the microphone and say one or two words, introduce yourselves?
Chairman. I think that's our other commissioner.
Oh, okay. We are Lamont.
Speak directly to the microphone. Yes.
We are Lamont and Patricia Johnson. We purchased the home, was it February last year? My husband did an awesome job on a lot of renovations on the inside of the home. It's absolutely beautiful. We moved from Wetumpka, the Redland community, and we just love it. We love being in the city and close to everything, so. You have anything to say?
Great to finally get the sign.
Pull your mask off and speak into the microphone.
Oh, it was just nice to get the sign because the other one was worn. You couldn't see what year or whatever, so it's good to get it so I can put it back on there tomorrow.
You can actually see it on the front of the house on the corner.
Right.
It's one of those, the gray faded ones, so. But
Did
we
your
enjoy
previous
living
owner
here.
leave you? Did your previous owner leave you any historic photographs of it?
No.
Jack.
No.
He did. Okay, we've got some for you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, if you'll give me your email or whatever when we leave.
Wonderful. Okay, good, because we wanted to do the research and try to find something like that.
Oh,
we
it's
could-
very documented.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, too. Okay, Christy.
Okay, so the last house is 333 Mildred Street. City directory after city directory noted that this block is numbered incorrectly. So some of these are my best guesses on who was actually living in the house. So this house was documented by Habs in the 1930s, and the exterior appearance dates from 1854. The 1932 date comes from some research that a previous owner did that indicates they think there's an earlier foundation or foundation for an earlier portion of this house in there somewhere. But we don't have any documentation for that. So it's a kind of an unusual Greek revival, you know, the full two-story portico with a parapet wall. You've got engaged columns on the corners and on the inside corners as well. The jib windows on the first porch floor, and I can't tell, I think they may be on the second floor as well. It's got a nice retaining wall out at Mildred Street as that kind of stone and split face block. I know I haven't been in it in recent years, but I know when the Bushes owned it, they were doing a pretty painstaking renovation to the interior because it's got some parquet inlaid floors and unpainted beadboard ceilings installed in I think a diamond pattern in one of the downstairs rooms. So it's got some nice interior details as well. So the name on it is McBride Screws Tyson House, which is what it is listed as in the National Register of Historic Places. It has an individual listing in the National Register. And the photos, the Habs photos, the last page, those black and white photos are from the 1930s. And it looks pretty much the same as it does today. It's missing some shutters, but other than that, it's a pretty has a pretty close resemblance to itself. So the rest of these folks will be able to pick up their signs at our office anytime after tonight, and we'll make sure they get them. And our next round is, what did I tell you, Dallas? September 1?
Correct.
Yeah, September 1 for a December award. So that will be our next sign submission deadline. So that's it. That's all I got on signs.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone has a question or comment? Any of the other commissioners, a question or comment? I think it's an excellent job. Did everybody in the audience get a chance to see the signs? Did everybody in the audience get a chance to see the signs? Okay, all right. Well, they're here, and after the meeting, if you just want to approach the table, they'll still be here in case you want to see the sign. Okay. Anything else, Christy?
Not for that.
Okay.
And the only thing I have for the other business on the committee is just that we have sent out the solicitation for awards. Application deadline is July 2nd.
Okay.
I've talked to a couple of people about some possible submissions, so hopefully we'll get some things in.
Okay.
They usually come in last minute, which is not a surprise. So.
Right. Application for awards due July 2nd.
And for those new, I've got here's a hard copy for you so you can see it. You know, it's on the city website, so you can download it, but this is just so you can kind of bring yourself up to speed on it. The call for nominations.
Okay.
It's in their packets. Okay.
All right. Anything else? Anything else? Any of the commissioners has anything going on you'd like to bring to our attention? Any upcoming programs? like to bring to our attention? That being said, I'd like to thank Ms. Christy Anderson from the Land Use Division for the City of Montgomery, Ms. Paula Wade, our recording secretary, Mr. Mike Mann, our technician who does an excellent job, and Dennis, our security person who makes certain everything is in order, and our other commissioners who take time from their busy schedules to come here this afternoon, and our guests, please come again. That being said, this meeting is hereby adjourned.